Anya lived in a village nestled so deep in the mountains that the clouds often tickled the rooftops. It was a place of incredible beauty. Imagine towering, snow-capped peaks that kissed the sky, and lush green valleys where wildflowers painted the landscape in every color imaginable. But beauty wasn't everything. The village, though picturesque, was far removed from the bustling cities and the opportunities they held. There were no fancy schools, no grand theaters, and certainly no music stores. Life was simple, focused on farming and helping one another. Most children in Anya's village dreamed of growing up to be farmers or craftspeople, just like their parents. They knew the rhythms of the land, the secrets of the forest, and the importance of community. But Anya harbored a different kind of dream, one that felt as impossible as climbing those towering mountains barefoot. The village school was a small, one-room building where all the children learned together. Anya loved to read the tattered books, her imagination soaring with stories of faraway lands and amazing people. But nothing captured her heart quite like the occasional crackly radio broadcast that reached the village on clear nights. Sometimes, amidst the static and faint voices, she would hear it, music. Not the lively folk tunes played on the village fiddle, but something grander, more complex, more magical. It was classical music, played on instruments she had only seen in pictures. And among all the instruments, one stood out, the piano. Anya had never seen a real piano. She only knew it from a faded picture in an old encyclopedia. The picture showed a gleaming, black grand piano, its keys like teeth, ready to sing. The thought of making such beautiful music with her own hands filled her with a longing so intense it made her chest ache. She imagined her fingers dancing across those keys, creating melodies that would fill the air and touch people's hearts. But how could she ever become a pianist when there wasn't even a piano in the entire village? It seemed like an impossible dream, a secret she kept locked away in her heart. The music on the radio was her escape. Every night, Anya would wait impatiently for the static to clear, hoping to catch a few precious minutes of a piano concerto or a sonata. She didn't understand the technicalities, she couldn't name the composers or identify the different movements. All she knew was that the music stirred something deep inside her, a feeling of joy and wonder that she couldn't explain. It was as if the notes were painting pictures in her mind, stories without words, emotions that resonated with her soul. One particularly clear evening, the radio played a piece that seemed to speak directly to her heart. It was a delicate, flowing melody, full of longing and hope. Anya closed her eyes, picturing the pianist's hands moving gracefully across the keys. She imagined herself in that pianist's place, pouring her own emotions into the music. From that moment on, her desire to play the piano solidified into a burning passion. It wasn't just a dream anymore, it was a need, an essential part of her being. She started trying to recreate the sounds she heard on the radio. She would hum the melodies, tapping out rhythms on her knees. She even tried to imitate the piano's tones by blowing across the tops of empty bottles, arranging them in different sizes to create different notes. It wasn't the same, of course, but it was the closest she could get. Anya became obsessed with learning everything she could about the piano. She devoured the encyclopedia entry, studying the diagram of the keyboard, memorizing the names of the notes. She drew pictures of pianos in the dirt with a stick, practicing imaginary scales and chords. The other children in the village didn't understand her fascination. They teased her, calling her the piano girl and laughing at her strange habits. But Anya didn't care. She was too caught up in her own world of music to pay attention to their taunts. The music was her world, and she was determined to find a way to make it real. The biggest problem, the one that loomed over her like the highest mountain peak, was the simple fact that there were no pianos in her village. Not even an old, broken-down one. Pianos were expensive, delicate instruments, not suited for the rugged conditions of mountain life. They belonged to a different world, a world of wealth and privilege that seemed impossibly far away. Anya's mother, a kind and hard-working woman, understood her daughter's passion, but she also worried. "Anya," she would say gently, "music is a beautiful thing, but it won't fill your belly. We need to be practical. You need to learn skills that will help you survive here. Anya knew her mother was right. She helped with the chores, tending the garden, feeding the chickens, and gathering firewood. She understood the importance of hard work and contributing to the family. But the thought of giving up her dream was unbearable. It was like asking her to stop breathing. She tried to explain it to her best friend, a boy named Luca, who was always ready for an adventure. Luca, she said, imagine a world filled with colors you've never seen before, sounds you've never heard. That's what music is like for me. It's more than just pretty notes, it's a whole new way of seeing the world. Luca listened patiently, but he didn't quite understand. He was a practical boy, more interested in building things than in music. But Anya, he said, how can you play the piano if you don't have one? It's like trying to fly without wings. Anya sighed. Luca was right, of course. It seemed like an impossible task. But she refused to give up hope. There had to be a way, some way, to overcome this obstacle. She just had to find it. The impossibility of her dream became a challenge, fueling her determination even further. She would find a way to play, even if it meant inventing her own piano. The seed of an idea began to sprout in her mind, a crazy, wonderful idea that might just work. The next morning, Anya woke up with a clear plan. She knew she couldn't conjure a real piano out of thin air, but she could create something that resembled one, something she could use to practice and develop her skills. She decided to build her own keyboard. She rummaged through the shed behind her house, searching for materials. She found a large piece of cardboard, discarded from a delivery of supplies to the village store. It was sturdy and flat, perfect for her purpose. She also found some charcoal pencils, used for sketching, and a ruler. Anya carefully measured the cardboard, drawing lines to create the keys. She studied the diagram in the encyclopedia, meticulously replicating the pattern of white and black keys. It took her hours, but finally, she had a full-sized keyboard drawn on the cardboard. It wasn't a real piano, of course. It didn't make any sound. But it was a start. It was something tangible, something she could touch and use. She placed the cardboard keyboard on a small table in her room. She sat down, closed her eyes, and imagined the sound of a real piano. She pictured her fingers moving across the keys, playing the melodies she had heard on the radio. Then, she opened her eyes and began to practice. She started with simple scales, carefully placing her fingers on the drawn keys, imagining the notes ringing out. She practiced chords, memorizing the finger positions. She pretended to play the songs she loved, her fingers dancing across the cardboard, her mind filled with music. It was a strange sight, a young girl playing an imaginary piano. But Anya didn't care what anyone thought. She was determined to make the most of what she had. Her cardboard piano was her treasure, her tool, her connection to the world of music she longed to be a part of. It was a symbol of her hope, her perseverance, and her unwavering belief in her dream. Each day, Anya practiced with renewed vigor, her cardboard piano becoming more than just a drawing. It became an extension of herself, a testament to the power of imagination and the unwavering pursuit of a dream. Anya's daily practice became a ritual. Before sunrise, while the rest of the village still slept, she would be at her cardboard piano, her fingers moving with a quiet determination. The early morning light streamed through the window, illuminating her focused face and casting long shadows on the wall. She wasn't just mimicking movements, she was learning the language of music. She studied the encyclopedia, deciphering the musical notation, understanding the relationships between notes and chords. She imagined the vibrations of the strings, the resonance of the soundboard, the subtle nuances of tone. Sometimes, she would close her eyes and imagine herself in a grand concert hall, bathed in the warm glow of the stage lights, a real piano gleaming before her. She would imagine the audience, their faces filled with anticipation, waiting to be transported by her music. These daydreams fueled her practice, pushing her to work harder and strive for perfection. The cardboard piano became her teacher, her confidant, her gateway to a world beyond the mountains. She learned to control her fingers, to develop a sense of rhythm and timing. She memorized countless pieces, practicing them over and over again until they became ingrained in her muscle memory. Luca, initially skeptical, began to be impressed by Anya's dedication. He would often stop by her house in the mornings, watching her practice with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. He still didn't fully understand her passion, but he could see how much it meant to her. "You're really serious about this, aren't you?" he asked one day. Anya nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "More than anything," she said. "I know it seems crazy, practicing on a piece of cardboard. But I believe that if I work hard enough, I can make my dream come true." Luca smiled. "Well," he said, "if anyone can do it, it's you, Anya." He started bringing her small gifts, smoother pencils for drawing the keys, scraps of cloth to polish the cardboard, and even a small, wooden box to serve as a makeshift pedal. These small acts of support meant the world to Anya. They reminded her that even in her remote village, she wasn't alone in her pursuit of her dream. They reminded her that even the most impossible dreams are worth fighting for. The village, as a whole, reacted to Anya's passion with a mix of amusement, skepticism, and quiet support. Some of the older villagers, set in their ways and focused on the practicalities of survival, saw her cardboard piano as a harmless eccentricity, a childish game that she would eventually outgrow. They would chuckle amongst themselves, shaking their heads and muttering about the foolishness of dreams. Others, particularly the younger generation, were inspired by Anya's unwavering dedication. They admired her courage to pursue something so different, so seemingly impossible. They would often gather around her window in the evenings, listening to her practice, imagining the music she was creating in her mind. Anya's mother, though still concerned about her daughter's future, couldn't help but be moved by her passion. She saw the joy that music brought to Anya's face, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her dream. She realized that music wasn't just a hobby for Anya, it was an essential part of her being. However, there were also those who actively discouraged Anya. A few of the more cynical villagers would openly mock her, telling her to give up her foolish dreams and focus on finding a husband and settling down. They would say that music was for city folk, not for simple village girls. These comments stung, but Anya refused to let them break her spirit. She knew that she couldn't please everyone, and she wasn't going to let the negativity of others derail her from her path. She found strength in the support of her mother, Luca, and the other villagers who believed in her. She also drew inspiration from the stories of famous musicians who had overcome incredible obstacles to achieve their dreams. She read about composers who had been deaf, pianists who had been blind, and singers who had been born into poverty. These stories reminded her that anything was possible if she had enough determination. Anya's cardboard piano became more than just an instrument, it became a symbol of her defiance, a testament to her refusal to let anyone extinguish her passion. It was a constant reminder that even in the face of doubt and discouragement, she could still create something beautiful. One sweltering afternoon, as Anya practiced a particularly challenging piece, a stranger arrived in the village. He was an elderly man, his face etched with wrinkles that spoke of a life well lived. He wore a worn tweed suit and carried a battered suitcase. He looked out of place in the simple village, like a character who had wandered out of a forgotten storybook. The man introduced himself as Mr. Petrov, and he explained that he was a retired music teacher, traveling the countryside in search of inspiration. He had heard rumors of a remote village nestled in the mountains, a place where life moved at a slower pace, and he had decided to visit. As he walked through the village, he heard the faint sound of music coming from Anya's house. Intrigued, he followed the sound and found Anya practicing diligently on her cardboard piano. He stood quietly for a moment, listening intently, his eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and admiration. When Anya finished playing, she looked up and saw Mr. Petrov standing in the doorway. She was startled, but she quickly composed herself. "Hello," she said shyly. Mr. Petrov smiled. "That was remarkable," he said. "I haven't seen such dedication in a long time. May I ask what you are playing?" Anya explained about her dream of becoming a pianist, her lack of a real piano, and her makeshift cardboard keyboard. Mr. Petrov listened patiently, his expression growing increasingly thoughtful. "You have a gift, Anya," he said finally. "A true talent. It would be a shame to let it go to waste." He paused, considering his words carefully. "I would be honored to offer you my guidance, if you would accept it." Anya's eyes widened with excitement. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, the chance to learn from a real music teacher. "Oh, Mr. Petrov," she said, her voice trembling with emotion, "I would be so grateful." And so, Anya's life took an unexpected turn. The arrival of Mr. Petrov marked the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with music, learning, and the promise of a brighter future. The old music teacher had recognized the spark of genius in the young girl, and he was determined to help her ignite it. Mr. Petrov's arrival transformed Anya's practice sessions. He started by teaching her the fundamentals of music theory, explaining concepts that had previously been a mystery to her. He showed her how to read music properly, how to understand the structure of a composition, and how to interpret the composer's intentions. He also helped her to refine her technique on the cardboard piano. He taught her about proper posture, finger placement, and hand movements. He encouraged her to focus on developing a light touch and a fluid style. "Remember, Anya," he would say, "music is not just about playing the right notes, it's about expressing emotion. It's about telling a story with sound." Mr. Petrov didn't have a piano to teach her on, but he had something even more valuable, knowledge and experience. He used his hands to demonstrate finger exercises in the air, and he made her visualize the keys of a real piano. He would then have her replicate these movements on her cardboard keyboard. He also introduced her to a wider range of classical music, playing recordings on his old gramophone. Anya listened intently, absorbing every note, every nuance, every emotion. She learned about Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and Chopin, each composer opening a new world of musical expression. Mr. Petrov also challenged Anya to push herself beyond her comfort zone. He assigned her increasingly difficult pieces, encouraging her to tackle complex rhythms and intricate melodies. He knew that she had the potential to achieve great things, and he was determined to help her reach her full potential. Anya, in turn, responded with unwavering dedication. She practiced harder than ever before, spending hours at her cardboard piano, honing her skills and absorbing Mr. Petrov's teachings. She knew that she had been given a precious gift, and she was determined to make the most of it. The cardboard piano, under Mr. Petrov's guidance, became an even more powerful tool, a symbol of Anya's unwavering commitment to her dream and the transformative power of mentorship. Anya learned to feel the music even more deeply. Years passed. The seasons changed, painting the mountains in a kaleidoscope of colors. Anya grew from a young girl into a young woman, her passion for music unwavering. Mr. Petrov remained in the village, his presence a constant source of guidance and encouragement. Anya's cardboard piano, though worn and faded, remained her most prized possession. It bore the marks of countless hours of practice, the smudges of charcoal, and the faint indentations of her fingertips. It was a testament to her dedication, a symbol of her unwavering pursuit of her dream. She continued to help her mother with the chores, tending the garden and caring for the animals. She understood the importance of hard work in contributing to her family. But her heart belonged to music. Every spare moment was spent practicing, honing her skills, and perfecting her technique. Mr. Petrov, noticing Anya's growing talent and unwavering dedication, began to explore opportunities for her to further her musical education. He wrote letters to music schools and conservatories, describing Anya's extraordinary talent and her unusual circumstances. He included recordings of Anya playing on her cardboard piano, hoping to convey the beauty and emotion of her music. Most of the responses were polite but dismissive. They praised Anya's dedication but emphasized the importance of formal training on a real piano. They explained that it would be impossible for her to compete with students who had access to proper instruments and instruction from a young age. But Mr. Petrov refused to give up hope. He knew that Anya had something special, something that couldn't be measured in terms of formal training or access to resources. He believed that her passion, her dedication, and her unique perspective would set her apart. One day, a letter arrived that offered a glimmer of hope. A small charity organization, dedicated to supporting talented children from remote areas, expressed interest in Anya's story. They offered her an opportunity to audition for a scholarship, which would cover the cost of tuition and accommodation at a prestigious music school in the city. This was the chance Anya had been waiting for, the opportunity to finally realize her dream. But it also meant leaving her village, her family, and Mr. Petrov. Anya knew she had a difficult decision to make. The offer from the charity organization hung in the air, a beacon of hope and a source of immense anxiety. Anya spent sleepless nights wrestling with the decision. Leaving her village meant abandoning her mother, who relied on her help. It meant saying goodbye to Luka, her lifelong friend, and to Mr. Petrov, her beloved mentor. It meant stepping into an unknown world, a world of privilege and competition that she could only imagine. But staying meant giving up on her dream, condemning herself to a life of quiet resignation. It meant letting her talent wither and fade, a silent tragedy played out in the solitude of her mountain village. Mr. Petrov, sensing Anya's inner turmoil, sat down with her one evening. "Anya," he said gently, "this is a difficult decision, and I cannot make it for you. But I can tell you this, you have a gift, a rare and precious gift. It is your responsibility to nurture that gift, to share it with the world." He continued, "I know it will be hard to leave your home, your family, and your friends. But sometimes, we must make sacrifices in order to achieve our dreams. And I believe that you have the strength and the courage to succeed, no matter what challenges you may face." Anya's mother, seeing her daughter's distress, also offered her support. "Anya," she said, "I know you are worried about leaving me. But I want you to know that I am proud of you, no matter what you decide. Your happiness is my happiness. And if pursuing your dream means leaving this village, then I will support you every step of the way." Luka, though saddened by the prospect of Anya's departure, also encouraged her to go. "Anya," he said, "you have to do this. You have to show the world what you are capable of. I'll be here, waiting for you. And I'll always be your friend, no matter where you go." With the support of her loved ones, Anya finally made her decision. She would audition for the scholarship. She would embrace the opportunity, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. She would honor her talent, her dedication, and the sacrifices that had been made for her. She would carry the spirit of her village with her, wherever she went. She would take her cardboard piano with her as a reminder of her journey. Preparing for the audition was a challenge in itself. Anya had never been to a city before, and the prospect of traveling to a bustling metropolis filled her with trepidation. She had no proper clothes for such an occasion, no fancy dresses or polished shoes. All she had were her simple village clothes, her worn sandals, and her cardboard piano. Mr. Petrov, resourceful as ever, helped her to prepare. He borrowed some old sheet music from a friend, giving Anya a chance to study and practice the pieces that were likely to be on the audition repertoire. He also gave her tips on how to present herself, how to speak confidently, and how to handle the pressure of performing in front of strangers. Anya's mother, with the help of the other women in the village, sewed her a simple but elegant dress made from homespun fabric. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and presentable. Luka, using his carpentry skills, built a sturdy wooden frame to protect Anya's cardboard piano during the journey. The biggest challenge, however, was raising the money for the travel expenses. The journey to the city was long and costly, and Anya's family had very little money to spare. The villagers, touched by Anya's story and inspired by her dedication, rallied together to help. They organized a village fair, selling handmade crafts and delicious food to raise funds. They even put on a small concert, with Anya playing on her cardboard piano. In the end, they managed to raise just enough money to cover Anya's travel expenses. It was a testament to the power of community, a reminder that even in the most remote and impoverished places, people are willing to help one another achieve their dreams. Anya packed her meager belongings, including her dress, her sheet music, and her cardboard piano. She said goodbye to her mother, Luka, and Mr. Petrov, promising to make them proud. As she set off on her journey, she carried with her not only her dreams but also the hopes and aspirations of her entire village. She was ready to face the unknown, armed with her talent, her determination, and the unwavering support of those who believed in her. The city was a sensory overload. Anya had never seen so many people, so many cars, so many tall buildings. The noise was deafening, the air thick with exhaust fumes. She felt lost and overwhelmed, like a small boat adrift in a vast ocean. She found her way to the music school, a grand and imposing building with polished marble floors and towering columns. She felt intimidated by the opulence and grandeur. She clutched her cardboard piano tightly, a symbol of her humble origins and her unwavering determination. Inside the school, she saw other young musicians, dressed in elegant clothes, carrying expensive instruments. They chatted confidently amongst themselves, discussing composers and concertos that Anya had only read about in books. She felt out of place, a country bumpkin in a world of sophistication. As she waited for her turn to audition, her nerves grew worse. She imagined the judges, stern-faced and judgmental, scrutinizing her every move. She worried that her lack of formal training would be exposed, that her cardboard piano would be seen as a joke. When her name was finally called, Anya's heart pounded in her chest. She took a deep breath and walked into the audition room, carrying her cardboard piano with her. The room was large and brightly lit, with a grand piano gleaming in the center. 3 judges sat behind a long table, their expressions unreadable. Anya placed her cardboard piano on the floor, feeling a wave of self-consciousness wash over her. She knew that they were judging her, not just her playing but her entire being. One of the judges, a stern-looking woman with a severe bun, raised an eyebrow. "And what is this?" she asked, gesturing towards the cardboard piano. Anya swallowed hard, trying to control her trembling voice. "It's my piano," she said. "It's what I've been using to practice." The judges exchanged glances, a mixture of amusement and skepticism in their eyes. Anya knew that she had to prove herself, that she had to show them that she was more than just a girl with a cardboard piano. She had to show them the music that was in her heart. She had to show them the power of her dream. The judges instructed her to sit at the grand piano. Anya approached the instrument with a mixture of awe and trepidation. It was the first time she had ever touched a real piano. The keys felt smooth and cool beneath her fingers, a stark contrast to the rough cardboard she was used to. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. She closed her eyes for a moment, picturing Mr. Petrov, her mother, and Luka, their faces filled with encouragement. She remembered their sacrifices, their unwavering belief in her. She knew that she couldn't let them down. She opened her eyes and placed her hands on the keys. She began to play. At first, her fingers felt clumsy and unfamiliar. The piano responded differently than her cardboard keyboard. The keys were heavier, the sound richer and more resonant. But as she continued to play, her nervousness began to fade. The music took over, filling her mind and body. She forgot about the judges, the grand piano, and the imposing surroundings. She was transported back to her village, to her cardboard piano, to the music that had always been her escape. She played a piece by Bach, a complex and intricate composition that she had practiced countless times on her cardboard keyboard. She poured her heart and soul into the music, expressing the joy, the sorrow, and the hope that had defined her life. As she played, the judges' expressions began to change. The initial skepticism faded, replaced by a look of astonishment. They were captivated by Anya's passion, her technique, and the raw emotion that she conveyed through her music. Anya played as if her life depended on it. She played for her village, for her family, for Mr. Petrov, and for herself. She played with a power and a grace that belied her humble origins. She played with the conviction that anything was possible, that even the most impossible dreams could come true. The room fell silent, filled only with the soaring notes of the grand piano, played by a girl who had learned to play on cardboard. The music resonated through the room, filling every corner with its beauty and power. It was more than just a performance, it was a story, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Anya's fingers danced across the keys, telling of her village, her family, her dreams, and her unwavering determination. One of the judges, the stern-looking woman with the severe bun, wiped a tear from her eye. She had heard countless auditions over the years, but she had never been so moved. She recognized the raw talent, the passion, and the dedication that Anya possessed. Another judge, a renowned pianist himself, leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on Anya's hands. He marveled at her technique, her control, and her ability to express such deep emotion through her music. He knew that he was witnessing something extraordinary. The third judge, a young and ambitious composer, was captivated by Anya's unique perspective. He heard the echoes of her village in her music, the sounds of the mountains, the whispers of the wind, and the laughter of children. He realized that Anya had something to offer that no other musician could match. As Anya reached the final notes of the piece, the room was filled with a palpable sense of emotion. The judges sat in stunned silence, their faces etched with awe and admiration. When the last note faded away, a single tear rolled down Anya's cheek. She looked up at the judges, her heart pounding in her chest. She waited for their verdict, her future hanging in the balance. The stern-looking woman with the severe bun cleared her throat. "Young lady," she said, her voice trembling with emotion, "that was extraordinary." The other judges nodded in agreement. The renowned pianist stood up and applauded, followed by the young and ambitious composer. Anya's heart soared with joy. She had done it. She had proven herself. She had shown them the power of her dream. The cardboard piano training had been worth it. A few days later, Anya received a letter from the charity organization. She held her breath as she opened it, her hands trembling with anticipation. She scanned the letter, her eyes searching for the words that would change her life forever. "We are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as a recipient of our scholarship," the letter read. "Your extraordinary talent, your unwavering dedication, and your unique story have deeply inspired us. We believe that you have the potential to make a significant contribution to the world of music." Anya burst into tears of joy. She had done it. She had overcome all the obstacles, defied all the odds, and achieved her dream. She was going to music school. She was going to become a concert pianist. She ran to tell Mr. Petrov, her heart overflowing with gratitude. He embraced her warmly, his eyes filled with tears of pride. "I always knew you could do it, Anya," he said. "You have a gift, and you have the courage to share it with the world." She also told her mother and Luca, who were overjoyed by the news. They celebrated with a simple but heartfelt feast, sharing stories and laughter late into the night. Anya knew that she would miss them terribly, but she also knew that she was doing the right thing. She was honoring her talent, her dedication, and the sacrifices that they had made for her. The scholarship covered not only her tuition and accommodation but also provided her with a real piano to practice on. Anya could hardly believe her good fortune. She spent hours at the piano, exploring its rich tones and its expressive capabilities. She was finally able to translate the music in her heart into sound, to create the melodies that she had only imagined on her cardboard keyboard. Anya knew that this was just the beginning of her journey, a new chapter filled with challenges and opportunities. But she was ready. She was determined to make the most of her chance, to prove that a girl from a remote village, who had learned to play on cardboard, could achieve anything she set her mind to. She was ready for this. The day Anya left the village was bittersweet. The entire community gathered to bid her farewell. Her mother embraced her tightly, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so proud of you, Anya," she whispered. "Go and make your dreams come true." Luca, His eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and pride, gave Anya a small, wooden carving of a piano. "To remind you of home," he said. "And to remind you that I'll always be here for you." Mr. Petrov, his voice choked with emotion, offered Anya some final words of wisdom. "Remember, Anya," he said, "music is more than just notes on a page. It's a way to connect with people, to express your emotions, and to share your soul with the world. Never forget where you came from, and always stay true to yourself." Anya hugged them all, promising to visit as often as she could. She boarded the bus, her heart filled with a mixture of excitement and sadness. As the bus pulled away, she looked back at her village, her home, her family, and her friends. She waved goodbye, tears streaming down her face. She clutched her cardboard piano tightly, a symbol of her journey, her struggles, and her triumphs. She knew that she would never forget her humble beginnings, that she would always be grateful for the support and love that she had received from her village. As the bus carried her away from the mountains and towards the city, Anya looked towards the horizon, her eyes filled with hope and determination. She was ready to embrace her new life, to learn, to grow, and to share her music with the world. The cardboard piano would always be a reminder of how far she had come, of the power of dreams, and of the unwavering support of a community that believed in her. Anya knew that she was not just pursuing her own dream, she was carrying the hopes and aspirations of her entire village. And she was determined to make them proud. The journey begins now. Music school was a whirlwind of new experiences. Anya was surrounded by talented musicians from all over the world, each with their own unique style and background. She learned from renowned professors, studied the works of the great composers, and practiced tirelessly for hours each day. She quickly adapted to her new environment, embracing the challenges and opportunities that came her way. She excelled in her classes, impressing her professors with her natural talent, her unwavering dedication, and her unique perspective. She also made new friends, forming close bonds with other students who shared her passion for music. They supported each other, encouraged each other, and pushed each other to reach their full potential. But despite her success, Anya never forgot her humble beginnings. She often thought of her village, her family, and Mr. Petrov. She wrote them letters regularly, sharing her experiences and expressing her gratitude for their unwavering support. She also continued to practice on her cardboard piano, keeping it as a reminder of her journey and a source of inspiration. She would often play for her friends, sharing the stories of her village and the music that had always been her escape. Anya faced challenges as well. Some of the students, coming from privileged backgrounds, looked down on her, dismissing her as a naive country girl. They criticized her lack of formal training and questioned her ability to compete with them. But Anya refused to let their negativity discourage her. She knew that she had something special to offer, something that they didn't have, a unique perspective, a deep sense of gratitude, and an unwavering determination to succeed. She continued to work hard, honing her skills and perfecting her technique. She practiced with a passion and a dedication that impressed even her harshest critics. She was determined to prove that a girl from a remote village, who had learned to play on cardboard, could achieve anything she set her mind to. Anya blossomed. She grew. She became a better musician. Years flew by, filled with intense study, rigorous practice, and countless performances. Anya immersed herself in the world of classical music, mastering the works of the great composers and developing her own unique style. She participated in competitions, winning accolades and recognition for her extraordinary talent. She pushed herself beyond her limits, challenging herself to learn new pieces, to explore different interpretations, and to connect with her audience on a deeper level. She spent hours in the practice room, honing her skills and perfecting her technique. She also continued to learn from her professors, absorbing their wisdom and experience. She sought their guidance, asking questions, and seeking feedback on her performances. She was determined to become the best pianist she could be. But her journey was not without its challenges. She faced setbacks, disappointments, and moments of self-doubt. There were times when she felt overwhelmed, when she questioned her ability to succeed. But she refused to give up. She drew strength from her memories of her village, her family, and Mr. Petrov. She remembered their unwavering support, their belief in her, and their sacrifices. She knew that she couldn't let them down. She also found inspiration in her cardboard piano, which she kept in her dorm room as a constant reminder of her humble beginnings. Whenever she felt discouraged, she would sit down and play on it, allowing the music to transport her back to her village, to her dreams, and to her unwavering determination. Anya also used her music to give back to her community. She organized concerts to raise money for her village, helping to improve the lives of the people who had supported her. She also mentored young musicians, sharing her knowledge and experience with them. As she prepared for her graduation recital, Anya knew that she had come a long way. She had overcome countless obstacles, defied all the odds, and transformed herself into a world-class pianist. She was ready to share her music with the world. She was ready to make her village proud. Anya was ready. The night of Anya's debut concert arrived, filled with excitement and anticipation. The concert hall was packed with people, including her professors, her friends, her family, and Mr. Petrov, who had traveled from her village to attend the performance. Anya stood backstage, her heart pounding in her chest. She could hear the murmur of the audience, the rustling of programs, and the hushed whispers of expectation. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves. She closed her eyes for a moment, picturing her village, her cardboard piano, and the faces of the people who had supported her along the way. She remembered their sacrifices, their love, and their unwavering belief in her. She knew that she couldn't let them down. The stage manager gave her the signal. It was time. Anya walked onto the stage, her head held high, her eyes shining with confidence. She was greeted by a thunderous applause. She bowed to the audience, her heart filled with gratitude. She walked over to the grand piano, a magnificent instrument that gleamed under the stage lights. She sat down, placed her hands on the keys, and took another deep breath. Before she began to play, she signaled to a stagehand, who wheeled out a small, wooden platform. On the platform rested her cardboard piano, carefully preserved and lovingly restored. The audience gasped. They didn't understand. Why would a world-class pianist bring a piece of cardboard onto the stage of a prestigious concert hall? Anya smiled. She turned to the audience and spoke, her voice clear and strong. "This," she said, gesturing towards the cardboard piano, "is where my journey began. This is the instrument that taught me to dream, to believe, and to never give up. Without this cardboard piano, I would not be standing here today." The audience fell silent, captivated by Anya's words. She turned back to the grand piano, placed her hands on the keys, and began to play. The music soared through the concert hall, filling every corner with its beauty and power. Anya had never played better. She was at home. She was showing them the gift that she had. She was fulfilling her childhood dream. Anya's performance was nothing short of magical. Her fingers danced across the keys, weaving intricate melodies that told stories of love, loss, hope, and triumph. She played with a passion and a precision that captivated the audience, transporting them to another world. The concert hall was filled with a palpable sense of emotion. Some audience members closed their eyes, allowing the music to wash over them, while others leaned forward in their seats, mesmerized by Anya's performance. Mr. Petrov sat in the front row, his eyes filled with tears of pride. He had always known that Anya was destined for greatness, but he never could have imagined that she would achieve such success. He smiled, knowing that his years of mentorship had not been in vain. Anya's mother and Luca sat beside him, their faces beaming with joy. They had traveled a long way to be there, but they wouldn't have missed it for the world. They were so proud of Anya, not just for her musical talent but for her courage, her determination, and her unwavering commitment to her dreams. As Anya played, she glanced at her cardboard piano, a silent witness to her journey. It reminded her of her humble beginnings, of the challenges she had overcome, and of the people who had supported her along the way. She poured all of her emotions into the music, expressing her gratitude, her love, and her hope for the future. She played for her village, for her family, for Mr. Petrov, and for herself. She played with a power and a grace that belied her humble origins. As she reached the final notes of the piece, the concert hall was filled with a profound silence. The audience sat in stunned silence, their hearts filled with emotion. When the last note faded away, a single tear rolled down Anya's cheek. Then, the audience erupted into thunderous applause. They stood to their feet, cheering and applauding, their faces beaming with admiration. Anya had touched their hearts, she had inspired their souls, and she had left them in tears. She had done it. She had fulfilled her childhood dream. She had shown the world the power of music. The applause continued for several minutes, the audience unwilling to let Anya leave the stage. She bowed again and again, her heart filled with gratitude. Finally, the applause began to subside. Anya turned to the audience, a warm smile on her face. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you from the bottom of my heart." She paused for a moment, gathering her thoughts. "I would like to play one more piece for you," she said. "A piece that is very special to me. It's a piece that I wrote myself, inspired by my village, my family, and my cardboard piano." The audience